How's about $60,000? 60,000. Michael.
What have to talk?
What?
We're gonna have to talk about this just amongst ourselves.
Okay, no, please take the room. We are outside. Take your time.
Oh my God! Oh my God!
$60,000.
We are so rich.
Pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up, 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 don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up. Don't you know? Pump it up. You got to pump it up.
Yeah, light it up.
And so I regard the whole business as antisocial, stupid, immoral.
In the case of Bitcoin, it doesn't have any income, it doesn't have any use, it doesn't have any utility.
Hit a new high today. I could care less what Bitcoin trades for, how it trades, why it trades, who trades it. If you're stupid enough to buy it, you'll pay the price for it one day.
Today it's 9,000. Is it still rat poison?
Well, it's probably rat poison squared.
I'm never buying Bitcoin. Never.
Can you characterize everything that the Fed has done this past week as essentially flooding the system with money?
Yes, exactly.
You know, just a couple of days ago, somebody relatively prominent said Bitcoin is bigger than the internet, bigger than the Industrial Revolution. Serious.
I call it a Ponzi with no one in charge. But here's the thing.
Ponzi with no one in charge.
There's no Madoff, but it's working that way.
99.999% of the people that own Bitcoin are fucking morons. Retarded. Imbeciles. That's just it.
Ultimately, you should ignore it, or at least know that it's a Ponzi scheme.
Will Bitcoins be worth zero? They might, because they don't have any intrinsic value.
It's foolishness. It's a bubble. It's tulips. Look up tulip mania. It explains everything.
It's not an effective storehold of wealth. So it is a speculative vehicle now, highly speculative vehicle.
I actually don't. I don't own any of it. I just I own no Bitcoin. I don't know what it is, though. But
for those who had assumed that it might turn into a currency,
terribly sorry, but this is an asset and it's a highly speculative asset. So.
In fact, we at Visa won't process transactions that are cryptocurrency based.
First of all, making sure that our Visa cards are used to be able to purchase Bitcoin.
And it is the announced purpose of the supporters of cryptocurrency to take that power away from us.
I want to congratulate all my Bitcoin people out there. 61 parabolic guy with the shades and the diamond eyes and all of that, and oh, he's a paper hand. When you're wrong, you're wrong. I fucking paper handed sold it. I'm like, I fucking can't take Bitcoin, the ups and downs. I wish I fucking had it. I took all my money and I put it in what I think I know and what I can control and what I have a hand. I don't know Bitcoin. I don't know a fucking parabolic guy and his Ferraris and his fucking Oakley blades. I don't know what he's doing. I only know what I'm doing. So I said, hey, I'm going to bet on me. I fucked up. All right? I took a Mecca Okafor. Sorry, I bet on myself. I took it in pen. All right, whatever.
Of course, I think really what's going on is it's just more and more people are waking up to the idea that if they leave their money in the bank account, it's going down in value. And so just that simple reality has meant that a lot more people are coming into it. And from some of the discussions that I'm having with people in the space, people who are using analytics and things and other approaches like that, in their view, it seems that this bull run has, almost been mostly institutional and large companies and things, whereas now it's actually that retail are slowly coming to the game now in the last 6 to 8 weeks. And so now it's not just kind of only high net worth individuals or only retail. It's kind of just a mix of all sorts of people who are now starting to adopt Bitcoin as a way to save into the future.
And in some ways, you can track who is sort of buying Bitcoin at times, right? Like, you tell me more, but there are ways to sort of see who's buying and selling. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct. So the thing with Bitcoin is you don't necessarily know who those actors are, but you can see movement in the ledger of Bitcoin, if you will. And there are approaches that essentially look at when this coin, quote unquote coin, last moved. And so there are approaches that look at things like, okay, is this coin theoretically sitting in a profit? Like this coin that moved 2 years ago or 1 year ago. And so the reality is that of the 18.6 million approximate coins that exist today, right, the total supply would be no more than 21 million, but today it's about 18.65 million. Of those 18.5 million coins, maybe 14 million of those are held up and locked up into kind of long-term holders' coffers, if you will. And so really the amount actually trading on the exchanges is really that, if you will, that 2 to 3 million or so that's actually a bit more of a liquid and tradable supply. And as you probably know, and as listeners know, the price for things is really set on the margin. But what's happening is the dynamic with Bitcoin is that people buy Bitcoin and they withdraw it to their cold storage, and that's long-term storage.
$1 trillion in benefits will be paid out to about 65 million people in 2020. So where does all that cash come from? Social Security is financed through a dedicated payroll tax. Like we said earlier, every working American pays 6.2% of their wages to the government on everything they earn up to $137,700. Employers match that amount, or if you're self-employed, you pay 12.4% into the Social Security Trust Fund. All of Social Security's payroll taxes and other sources of income are deposited into this fund, and all the benefits and administrative expenses are paid out of this fund.
Think of Social Security like a pay-as-you-go type program. Benefits being paid out today mainly come from payroll taxes collected from today's workers. Now, for over 30 years, Social Security was flush with cash. It took in more in payroll taxes and other income than it was paying out in benefits and expenses. And the fund didn't just sit there.
By law, income to the trust fund must be invested on a daily basis. So they did just that. Income to the fund is invested in interest-bearing Treasury securities, earning an average interest rate of 2.5% in 2020.
Every dollar of the trust fund is invested in United States Treasury securities. They're special securities only designated for the Social Security Trust Fund, and that actually gives them advantages over regular Treasury securities.
As of the end of 2019, the trust fund was up to almost $2.9 trillion. But here's the thing. Since 2010, the payroll tax hasn't been enough to cover benefit payments for the massive baby boomer generation that started to retire. In 2016, the deficit of $75 billion was covered by the interest earned on the trust fund. In 2019, interest covered almost $81 billion of benefit payments. But starting in 2021, living off the interest won't be enough because people are living longer and millions of baby boomers are retiring. Social Security will have to start to draw down from the trust fund itself to help pay for benefits. And even that fund won't last forever. Experts predict the reserves could run out by 2035, at which point Social Security would only be able to pay about 79% of promised benefits.